Okay, now we're going to start the meeting. A little IT situation. So this is the regular Board of Selectmen meeting of October 7th, 2025. I'm Bob Carlson, the first selectman. We also have Selectwoman Nicole Porter and Selectman Brett Mastriani. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've got one small correction on the agenda. On number 8 says giving closet presentation. That should say giving closet discussion. I'm not going to make Sarah do another presentation. At least not tonight. Okay, so that should say giving closet discussion. Okay, is there any public comment on non-agenda items? So something we're not going to discuss tonight. Is anybody in tonight with something else? Hearing none. Look for an approval of the minutes from September 16th.
Make a motion to approve minutes from September 16th.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Brett, second by Nicole. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, perfect. Is there any selectmen comments? Brett, Nicole, anything?
Just want to, just always home, had a nice, thank you, to their, to the towns. So just want to,
You attended the event?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Nicole. You always attend that for us. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
that's-
Thank you. Brett, you're good? Save all your comments for the next meeting? Okay, perfect. First selectman comments. Well, one thing I want to do is I want to introduce Gavin Wiggins. Gavin, you want to just raise your hand? So Gavin is a senior at Wheeler High School, and he's doing a senior project, which I am his mentor on municipal government. Gavin thinks that possibly there might be somewhere in his future a position in municipal government. After about 4 months, if we ask him again, I think he's going to change his mind. I'm only kidding. This is like so easy. Anybody can do it, really. Not a big deal. But Gavin, thank you. And so he might be coming to meetings, tagging along with me and just seeing how. I told him I'm going to train you just like you're going to be the next first selectman, Gavin. And then he'll graduate and go off to college or something. All right, so that's that. So thank you and welcome. Carol Umflett's here. And Carol, I've been trying to invite people in to discuss social services. The Board of Selectmen heard loudly during the budget season that we might need to make some changes down the road. Teresa Pensis, who's our senior, she's our senior center director and also our agent for the elderly, is retiring in March. But we heard that the town really needs to be a more inclusive social services department. It's great what we do for seniors, and we still want to continue that. But we also want to say, well, maybe we could also have social services for more people, other people. Not that anyone gets turned away, but at some point as a town, we recognize that there are people in need. And Carol is a past director of social services. So I had Teresa come in, we had Mrs. Costanza come in. And I said, Carol, can you spend a few minutes just giving us an idea of what you think social services should be, what it has been in the past, what you think it should be maybe in the future? Because we are not experts on social services, but we know we have experts within the town, you being one. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes to come up to that podium. And then I know you have a fair committee meeting, so we won't keep you long tonight, but thank you. Can you get her on the podium there, Brett? Okay. Carol's also the.
You just had it.
There you go. You're on. Carol, you're on.
You're good.
You're on.
Carol's also the president of the Rotary of the Stonington. So
Just
she's,
this year.
so she is very active in town.
For the third time, whatever. So I actually worked for the town as a town bookkeeper in the early 90s. And during that 6 years that I worked here, I was given the additional responsibilities of what they called at that time general assistance, which was social services, basically. At that time, people in need could sign up with the state the same way they do now, but the process is a little bit different. When they took general assistance back, by that time, I had been hired by the town of Stonington to do their social services, and it opened up opportunities for all kinds of help for people. Because we didn't have to adhere to the state rules on how they apply, and, that was all we did. Now we can do much more, and for the last 25 years, I was at Stonington for almost 25 years. And I did it in North Stonington for about 3 years. So one of the things I found, I have always worked with seniors, whether it's Stonington or North Stonington, and many of the seniors don't realize they're eligible for programs that serve them. The Medicare program, for example, has all different kinds of programs that people can sign up for, that they're truly eligible for because of their income. They figure they worked all their lives, now they're getting this social security, and sometimes they have a pension. They don't realize that that isn't enough. I realize it. But, so I've helped a lot of people throughout the years, not only get signed up for those programs, but become comfortable with them. That it's not necessarily a welfare program. It doesn't, there's not the stigma there used to be with those programs. And I worked really hard to make people aware of the fact that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So when I went to Stonington, social services here kind of fizzled out. There were some part-time people for a little while, and then they kind of switched over to the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center. I was actually doing it for both towns for a while, and then it just became too much of a controversy. And so, I stepped back, and they, the neighborhood center took it over. And I've worked with Sue Sedensky there, and she's great. But if you're talking about having social services in town, especially as part of the senior center, I think it's a great idea, because it's kind of one-stop shopping in a way. They can go to the senior center and they know they can do programs, people can do programs, and they can also get some questions answered about, what their needs are. One thing I'm concerned about, though, is that the senior center not be seen as the social services place, the welfare place, or whatever people, will tend to call it. I really would like to see the senior center grow and attract more of our population, because I don't know what the membership is right now. I know a lot of quote unquote my seniors from Pawcatuck go to our senior center here, and I think that's okay. But I think it's also I'd like to see it opened up to more people. I'd like to see whoever takes that position as director do things that will attract the people from town, because there can be lots of great programs. I brought in our North Stonington Quarterly, and I love this quarterly newsletter. Really love it. But I don't see the senior center in it, and I think it needs to be in it. Or a newsletter or something, because nobody's being attracted to the senior center. And I mean, I was about a year ago, I joined yoga, and anybody who, doesn't want to get on the floor, come join us at chair yoga on Thursdays. It's not easy necessarily, but it's a good time. And I think that's what people don't know. I've had people say to me, we have a senior center in town, so I think more people, we need to get it out there, and we need to let people know it can be a fun place. There aren't many programs right now. There could be. I started writing down ideas, and I stopped because, there's There's so much we could do at the senior center. It doesn't
Carol,
take-
can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah.
So one of the things that we heard was that, yeah, we do have some fairly good programs for seniors. But I'm thinking of someone is in a crisis. They just had a fire in their home, just had a tragic, maybe an accident, whatever happened. Now they're in crisis mode and they don't know where to turn.
Right.
I think we're looking to include that into the social service. So yes, seniors will still be involved, but being more all encompassing to anyone that needs to have services would be able to be involved. And do you see something like that being a possibility?
Absolutely. I think anytime somebody's in crisis, we ought to just step up as a town and see what we can do to help them out. And if there's a person in place to do that, that's even better. Sometimes it's not easy to walk into someplace if you don't have an appointment. And with all due respect to the neighborhood center, they're a very busy place too. But I think if there's a program in place where people in crisis can go, or someone can go to them, and kind of triage, see, what they need. If it's a fire, I mean, the first thing I'd do is call the Red Cross. I know Sue Rochester over there. I worked with her for years. She's always right there when there's a fire.
But
That's
see, I think that
American Red Cross.
you know that, but now my head's spinning because I just had the fire. So first, I think I want everyone in the town knows if there's a crisis, where to go. And I think
Right.
the senior center building is perfect because there's so much privacy there. You don't even know if someone's parked there. And we know that people in crisis or people in need, it's very private. And a lot of people have pride and they're not always want to ask for help. But if there's a place we can go where they can have some confidentiality, privacy, and the senior center is one of those places kind of hidden in the back, it would make sense to me that it could do a dual role as senior center and social services center. And as you said, you knew who to call, but I'm afraid that person in town may not know who to call. And they might not even be thinking straight if this is something just happened. So now we know that people go to the giving closet. Sometimes people call Mrs. Costanza, people go to Porkaduck, but I'd like to have that, as you said earlier, the one-stop shopping, like everyone goes here. And then we can, the senior center director, the social service director can say, this is the issue. I'm going to tell you where we're going to get you help. And if you need this, we're going to send you here. If you need this, we're going to send you here.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we're hoping, isn't it, Nicole and Brett? Isn't that what we're looking for?
Yeah, I think one of the, hearing your experience in the past, you have had a foot in both camps, right? It sounds like you've certainly done work with seniors directly, but then you've also done social services work. So knowing what you've done, do you think for a town of the size of North Stonington, residents wise, that one person, let's say 40-hour person could do and manage both the senior center activities as well as the social services aspect? Because, I think I've learned a lot based on some of the social media posts of families in crisis and need. But unless you see that that kind of anonymous post of, hey, listen, we have a family in need, people really don't know that, and they don't know where to turn. So
Right.
I don't have any idea how much this person would be needed and how busy they would be over the course of a 40-hour day, 40-hour, it seems like a 40-hour day some days, but a 40-hour work week. Do you think that it would be too much for one person to handle both senior center activities? And because we still are going to have agent for the elderly, correct?
Each town, each municipality has to have
Has
that.
to have
Now, it
that.
could be the same person. Right now, Teresa Carrot here wears two hats. But we're not sure. I think that's the reason we're having these kind of meetings is how do we set it up in the future?
But she has expressed an interest in maintaining that position,
I'm not
correct?
so sure
Oh, okay.
anymore. She
Okay.
was, but that was when I asked that months ago. I'm not so sure
Okay.
that's still.
So just my question would be, in your experience with a town our size from a resident standpoint, do you think that one social services person could handle things for the elderly as well as anything that might come their way from a crisis or emergency need?
Well, when I was initially, before Stonington created the Department of Human Services, I was actually the Social Services Administrator, they called me. That was my title, and the Agent for the Elderly and Senior Services. So
All for the
I
town
did
of Stonington.
for the town of Stonington, which is about three times our population, I
Yeah.
think. So, so yes, to answer your question, I think it can be done. I think there's more an issue of privacy when, you know, if, let's say, the yoga class is going on and a call comes in and it's an emergency, or, you know, I get a call on my cell phone, whatever, I would not meet that person or the family. I'd go to them. You know, I mean, you have to make those kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
Do you go to them? Do you have them come to you? Depending on the senior center right now is 4 programs. That's, you know, those are the only programs that they have. They have an art class. They have quilting 2 days a week, and they have Tai Chi and they have yoga. So given that, there's lots of time during the day to be able to see, you know, the yoga class and the Tai Chi classes are 1 hour. The art class, I think, is 3, and the quilting class is like 2 days broken up, maybe 5 hours all week. So there's plenty of time during the day, the week, to be able to see people in crisis. Maybe not immediately, but maybe within an hour.
Could you, sorry, just
No.
one more question. In your experience, what would be the qualifications of the person that, as we're describing, somebody that might handle both? What do you think the qualifications would be or should be for that person?
Well, I think experience in the, my degree's in psychology. So, you know, I don't have a degree in social work necessarily, although I did it for 24 years. What I could not do, what I was not qualified to do, I certainly had the resources, and I built
Yeah.
a resource pool to be able to refer people to counseling, to food opportunities, and that would be either the neighborhood center or Linda Costanza. I mean, we have a great food bank here, and you know, and then there's lots of stuff that I keep saying it's really the person should have the experience. The person that takes the position should have the experience to either help immediately or the wherewithal to find out. When I first started in Stonington, there was a lot I didn't know, but you make phone calls and you find out, and you know, you kind of learn as I learned as I went.
That's how you build those relationships that you find out. And
Right.
I think when I keep hearing you, Bob, talk about not necessarily somebody that is organizing the emergency help, but somebody that knows exactly the resources to go to be able to get that particular type of help, that would be certainly somebody that we would want.
And that is the definition of the agent for the elderly. By state statute, the agent for the elderly acts as a liaison between the residents and the services.
The services and the programs
So it
available.
was, when they combined that into my job in Stonington, it just made sense because I was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
If somebody needed state assistance, then I, you know, I sent them to the right place. I made calls for them. You know, I did the application for them. You know, as it evolved over the years, then I could start doing applications online and, you know, gather their documentation. So it was a lot easier to get through that process.
Carol, I think we have a hand up. Who was it? Is it Sue?
Yeah, Sue. Go ahead, Sue.
Hi, I just want to put out there regarding the veteran liaison. By state statute, we need to have one for the town. And I believe Teresa had, for the senior center director, had done a lot of work with the veterans. And I think Daryl, our assessor that just retired, was our deemed veteran liaison. And so I think this needs to be put also into the whole Human Services committee and discussed on who that would be. And that's a big piece of it also.
It is.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's the
Sue.
first I've heard that. So thank you, Suzanne.
It is.
That would need to be looped in as well.
And Daryl was that person in town.
Yeah. So we definitely have a gap, a hole there. Okay.
TVCCA used to have a great veterans program, the coffee shops, but their budgets got cut. And so that went. And so there's lots of, and you know, coming down the road too, there may be lots of new needs arising that that people are going to need.
So what we can do is I can get job descriptions of the veterans
Yeah.
liaison or whatever the title is, also the agent for the elderly, and those things, and we can add those to senior center director and maybe director of human services and see if this is a one-person full-time show or whether we need more than one, maybe a full and a part. But I think that's all part of the process of trying to figure out where we're going with this. Carol, one question is, so there's a human part, but does the state require quite a bit of paperwork to go with all this? Are there records that have to be kept? And what part of the job of the director is that? A record keeping, files? I'm sure everything has to be under lock and key and confidential, but does the state require a lot of that reporting, or is that something that's not really required?
Once upon a time they did, because we used to do the applications for general assistance, and then we'd pay out and then they'd reimburse us and there'd be reports and all that happy stuff. But now it's all done online. And so
I guess I'm asking, is there a certain amount of hours of that 40-hour work week? Is there a certain amount of hours that have to be dedicated towards office work?
oh, I would think so, yeah.
And do you know approximately, I mean, when you're in Stonington, was that a portion of your position, right, to handle the?
Oh, yeah, that was a big portion of, you know, because everything I did was paperwork.
Okay. And I think so the reason I brought that up is, and again, you want everything to be confidential. So it's just like the more people that see things, the more people that handle things are less confidential. But I'm wondering if a full-time director and some sort of administrative assistant would work. I'm not sure if it would or not, but just a thought.
Well, what I started doing a couple years before I left Stonington was I started scanning stuff. And so the files that we had for years and years, we had them, we started having them digitally instead of physically, you know, so, you know, that's a process too, but that's something that if I'm doing an application for somebody online, it goes right to them. I do not have to make a copy of it. The Medicare program is a good example of that. I just finished up the what they call the Choices program. It's a Medicare counselors training program, and you're not allowed to keep any paper because it is confidential. It's not your property. And this is speaking as a volunteer. It's not your property. It's the property of the person that you're helping. And so we're advised strongly not to keep any papers that could be considered confidential. It can be saved in a private account, a secure account on Medicare.gov, which is usually what I do for them if they want to create an account there, and or it just goes, I can't get into too much of this because I'll be here all night.
No, listen, I know you have another meeting too. I
That's
apologize.
okay. I mean, I already told them I might not come, so, and we have other members here too. So.
Brett, do you have any questions for Carol?
No, I think Nicole asked most of them, and between the people that we've heard so far, all the information is lining up to be similar information. So I appreciate your time coming out and talking to us. And thanks for doing it for us in the past.
Sure, that was a long time ago, 30 years ago.
Each person we talk to and hearing the experiences you have, I'm thinking, oh, they'd be perfect for this job. Want to come out of retirement and apply.
Oh, thank you,
But you
Carol.
clearly have a full plate already, so.
Okay, well, we hope to get something settled going into after the first of the year so we can hit the ground running in hopefully March. You know,
Yeah.
if Teresa's going to retire in March, we want to be able to not have much of a gap. So that's why we
Yeah.
started this a little bit early. But
Awesome.
I think there's someone in Stonington now I'm going to invite to speak also. I think she's the current director. And then there's the first select woman in Griswold who used to be the senior director in do you know her?
Yeah.
Tina Falk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we served on the Senior Advisory Council
Okay.
in senior use.
To me, the more information we get and the more people that can come visit with us, the better it is for us. So,
Yeah. And
thank you.
Stacy Casada, that was the other one, from Stonington Arms, you said?
The town of Stonington.
Oh, town.
I don't have her name written down, so.
Oh, maybe Leanne Theodore,
Yes, that's who it was.
my daughter, not really.
All
When I
right.
started with Stonington, I was the youngest one there, and people were saying, what's she now? She's 40, I don't know how old I was, but and when I left, all these kids, you know, at Human Services were my kids. So anyway,
Thank you, Carol.
Thank
All
you
right.
so
Thank you
much.
very much.
all right.
Okay, so number 8 is the giving closet. So we know that this is going to be a fairly hot topic tonight. It is a discussion and not a presentation, as I mentioned. If you don't mind, Brett, and I'd like to start off with some reflections I have, and then we can, you guys add what you wanted to say on it. So we've had some time to think about this because this is, we discussed this, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago when Sarah presented. A lot's transpired since then, and I'll be honest with you, I've had somewhat sleepless nights thinking about this. We have had a lot of correspondence, both through emails, text, calls, in-person visits. And to be honest with you, they're not all one side or the other. There's been a mix of should we or shouldn't we not fund the giving closet, and if we do, to what level? One thing I'll say on the let's fund the giving closet side, some of the correspondence is almost like the town is turning their back on the giving closet. The town is not standing behind the giving closet. I just want to let you know that we do offer a rent-free space that the town has, and the town also does not charge any utilities to the giving closet. So there is a dollar value to that. I mean, if you were an outside entity and you came into our building, like the early learners are, they're in the 2-story wing, she pays so much per foot for space, and she pays a portion of the utility. So the town has done some things to help support the giving closet to this point. Second thing is, when we have some of the more negative comments, not one of the negative comments has said they weren't for the giving closet. They don't think the giving closet's doing a wonderful thing. They all say that it's a wonderful group that's doing wonderful things for the town, much needed. And I appreciate hearing that. But the negative side is coming from not the giving closet itself, it's the operation of the giving closet. And that's where most of the pushback has come. Sarah herself will admit she's not good at giving presentations. She's told me that. She said it publicly at meetings. She's not good at presenting. And I think we saw presentations that had a range of emotion, from tears to anger to almost sometimes a sense of entitlement. And those emotions and in these missteps in some of the presentations have formed some of these negative opinions about whether we should fund the giving closet or not. Some questions about the organization itself, some questions about transparency, some questions about how the funding, if we gave it, how the funding would be spent. That's most of the negativity I've heard. It's on the organization, the running of the organization, not so much the organization itself. So I said, there's a misstep. Another misstep was during presentations was pitting one 501c3 against another 501c3. And that happened more than once where, why does she get that and I don't get this? So why did this one get money and not that one? And why does this one get this much money and why doesn't this one get more money, and so on? So everyone that's a 501c to me is a nonprofit doing wonderful things. And I don't think we should ever pit one against the other. And again, I think it was just a misstep, a lack of experience in doing presentations, but those things were heard, and those things have led to some of the negativity when it comes to funding the giving closet. The most recent misstep was this. I visited with Sarah, and she had mentioned that she was going to be closing the giving closet for a short period of time. And the reason she was going to close it was a lack of insurance. And she actually commented that, thank you to Brett to bring it up, it might have sounded a little negative at the time, but you made a good point, because she didn't realize now that she's a 501c3, she'd be personally liable if she didn't carry insurance. So when she reached out to other 501c3s and they said, yes, you need to have insurance. I called the town attorney and said, isn't our building insured? They said, yes, but if someone's in our building and gets hurt and they're at the giving closet, they're going to go after anyone they can. They're going to want to do a payday, whether they go after the town, they're going to go after who's got the biggest pockets. And Sarah is personally liable, which means her house is on the line, her own personal financings are on the line. And I would do the same thing. I would not put myself in that position until I had insurance. And I think she told me the insurance was going to be somewhere around $3,000. So the misstep I saw there, and I actually texted Sarah to ask her about it, was someone said, you got to look on the on social media right now. And I don't look at social media during the day because I'm working, but when someone asks me to look at it, I will. And I saw that there was a lot of wonderful people in our town that are reaching out to the giving closet and saying, we'd like to give you money. One of them was Raina's Red Onion. She wanted to set up a fund to give the giving closet money. And then I saw other people, I won't start naming them, but chipping in, I'll give 100, I'll give 100. And I thought, well, Sarah said that the main reason she was closing for a short period of time is I don't have insurance and it's about $3,000. What I thought the misstep was when she answered one of those people and says, listen, we don't want to take any money now. We want to wait till after the Board of Selectmen meeting to take the money. To me, that didn't sit well, because two things that did. One, it says, I want to come to the Board of Selectmen with an empty cupboard. I don't want any money in it because I want to make sure it's empty so I can make this way, I may be wrong, but this is how I interpret it. I may be able to ask for more money if there's no money there. The second interpretation I had is, if you truly close the giving closet and you said, this is the most important time for me, this is the busiest time of the year, and you closed it because you didn't have insurance, and these donations might be enough to cover your insurance, then I would say, why not take those donations? Why would you put them off? Take those donations and get the insurance to get opened up in your busiest season. So again, those might not be factual. Those are just the way I interpret them. And that's also the way other people interpreted them that came to me. So on that side of it, I'm just going to say, not great presentations, some missteps, some people maybe not understanding in how the giving closet was being run. I know there's a board of directors. I don't know how often they meet, but there's that piece, and that seems to be the most negative piece, is where does the taxpayer money going and how is it being used? Nobody said they don't like the giving closet. Now, there's another side to this. So the people who decide that pull the purse strings, the town leadership, the taxpayers, they decide how money is going to be spent. They are looking at this strictly as a dollar and cents. How is my dollars being spent, right? Oh, one more misstep I forgot. 19.5. I think anyone that knows this town knows that we go to a town meeting at $20,000. I cannot spend $20,000 without going to a town meeting. If myself, Brett, and Nicole said to the Board of Finance, we're looking for an appropriation of 19.5, they're going to say, why? Why 19.5? Why not 20? Why not 21? It looks like we're purposely going under the bar to get away from going to a town meeting. And if anything that you're passionate about, that you're afraid to go to a town meeting, does not bode well to the town. They're saying that's if it was 15, okay, even 17, but 19.5 almost seems like, how much can I get without going to a town meeting? So that was the misstep. But back on the other side, I know being a little lengthy with this, the side where not the dollars and cents, not the people pulling the purse strings, but the people that are actually getting the help. Okay, so we live in a town. If you want to find poverty and you go to a big city, you can find poverty. You know, right where to drive, you know, where neighborhoods to go into, where are the triple deckers, where are the kids with no shoes, where are the people with no winter coats, where are they? You know, if you can name the city, you can go right there and find poverty. You can't find that in North Stonington. You driving around North Stonington, what do you see? You see stone walls and cows and trees and rivers, and you think, this is a beautiful town. Everybody must be living a beautiful existence in this beautiful town. How can they not? Everything's so beautiful. There's no poverty here. But we can't see down the driveways. We don't know who doesn't have heat. We don't know who doesn't have clothes, who doesn't have food. We don't see it. But we've been hearing a lot lately when we're talking about social services, and it's why Carol's here tonight. We know that it's out there. And sometimes it's easy to say, I don't see it, so I'm not going to pay attention. But we as town leaders, we have to pay attention to all the residents, those with and those without. In those without, we have to make provisions on how do we help them out. Again, with the social services department, we're hoping to do that. We know seniors typically have issues, but we don't know about the 35-year-old who just had a fire, or someone who just lost a loved one in a car accident, or whatever it may be, someone who just lost their job. Hey, right now you could have a federal employee who just got laid off and they don't know how long they're going to be able to put food in their kids' mouths, right? So we don't know that. So we have an obligation, I think, to represent those people that don't advocate for themselves. The ones that don't want to, they want to be private. They don't want to come to the town and say, can you help me? They'll go to places like Sarah's. They'll go to places like the senior center, and they'll try to be very, very, very private, and also it has to be very confidential. But we know they're there, and we know there's more, probably more now than we've ever had, or we wouldn't be talking about a social service department. We just stay with the senior services, and it is what it is. And Sarah can help some people, and Mrs. Costanza will help some people. But we think it's serious enough that we have to address it. And I'm hoping that someday, if we have a good, really good, solid social services department, we can take some of that off of Sarah's plate, because Sarah attempts to, the Given Closet was made as a place where I think kids started leaving clothes at school. They didn't pick them up. Next year we had all these extra clothes and we put them on racks. Okay, so you can correct me in a minute, Sarah. So, but basically the Given Closet, I think of the Given Closet is we have a lot of donations of clothing and light clothing, and we give them to people for free, which is a great thing to do. I don't think the Given Closet was ever, because it started with students. I don't know how students would think something differently. I don't think the Given Closet was ever supposed to take the place of a social services department. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that was the role for that. And if we ever have a strong social services department, I hope that takes that piece. And the Given Closet is used as a place to go if, okay, this person just lost all their clothes in a fire. Go to see the Given Closet and you can get some clothes. And go to see Mrs. Costanza and you get some food. And go to Always Home and get a roof over your head. So I think that role is going to be changing hopefully next year, and that role will become under the social service and no longer have to be. And I love Sarah for doing it and taking it upon herself to try to help people, but that wasn't set up to be that. So I get the short and long is this: is I think that we as selectmen, we as town leaders, can't turn our back on some funding for the Given Closet, and I think that and then it's gonna be in the budget again. And so we're gonna look at this again in the spring, because once you're in the budget, you have to come back each year and tell us why you should get funded and at what amount. But for now, it's almost like, I think, like gap funding. How do we get the Given Closet some funding to get from now until next July, when the budget comes back out again? And I don't know if the Given Closet would be funded at what level. It depends on, just like all nonprofits come to the town and say, can we have this much money? And we say yes, no, maybe not that much, but this much, and so on. But I think until July 1st, there's going to be a gap. And I think as town leaders that can't turn their back on these people that really are in need in this town, I think we have an obligation. No matter if you like the presentations, you like the way the organization looks right now, I think we know that if you look at social media and listen to people that are in this room now, and there's a lot of people here, we know they're going to say that the Given Closet is wonderful and they help a lot of people. And I think we know that is true. But what happens to those people if the Given Closet's closed? If the Given Closet's not helping those people, what happens then? And I think that's where our obligation comes in. We might not all agree on the dollar amount, but I think to me, I think that's what we should be talking about tonight, is funding and at what level we should be funding. But I don't think zero funding is the right thing to do, because whatever you think about the Given Closet, the organization itself, it's the people behind the Given Closet are being helped, and what do we do about those people? And I don't know where they turn if the Given Closet isn't there, because we don't have a social services department yet. So I'd love to have input from either of the two selectmen.
So completely echo a lot of your sentiment. I too have lost a lot of sleep, as I'm sure you have, over this entire discussion. And because there really is, there's no way to be able to do it without having questions on both sides, right? So I will be completely open and honest with everybody in the room. I am in favor of giving the Giving Closet some money. What that amount is what I think we all have to decide tonight. So, and we will absolutely, and so I don't, Sarah, I know that it's hard to sit here and listen to this discussion with everything that you do, as well as it was hard for me as a town official to watch the social media posts and feel a little misrepresented as far as where we were at with how we were going to move forward with this. So it was very difficult to, and like Bob, you try not to look at social media, but when you're in these positions, it's almost near impossible. So one of the things that I cannot, and we will give you an opportunity, and it's up to Bob when you can come on up, but I want to just call out, Sarah, how brave you have been through this entire process, as we all have. And I thank you for being here and kind of listening to this whole discussion. And so one of the questions that I can, and I'm wrestling with is maybe something that you can clear up. Over the past several weeks and months, over the different presentations and the different discussions that we've had, one of the things that you have said is that you really were spending so much time away from your family and dedicating so much of your own resources that it was becoming not kind of sustainable, and it wasn't fair to your family. So part of what I heard over the last several weeks was that the 19.5 was, so right, there was an original ask, which you went back, and I will agree with Bob in that amount is really difficult for us. If you've ever watched a Board of Finance meeting, it's really difficult for us to stand up in front of the Board of Finance and ask for something 500 under what the town meeting threshold would be. So that I agree, it's the amount of 19.5 was a little bit controversial and something that I've been uncomfortable with. But that the 19.5 was a salary for you in order to do everything that you needed to do for the Giving Closet. One of the, so that I think that I need some clarification on, because if that has changed, I want to definitely hear that tonight. One of the other questions that I had asked you over the course of the weeks was, if you don't get the 19.5 and you get a lesser amount, what does that mean for the Giving Closet? Does that mean some more hours that you're able to open and operate and dedicate to, but not the full amount that you were hoping to? And at that point, what I thought that I heard you say was that if it wasn't the full 19.5, you could not increase services that you were currently offering for the Giving Closet. So that's just been something that I have kind of kept with me and just mulled over the last several weeks. Bob is right. There have been, and for obvious reasons, right? Like I literally had Ajita coming to this meeting because I'm trying to figure out how we're going to help the Giving Closet and maintain the perception that we're hoping that the residents of North Stonington have of this board, and that is to be good stewards of that money and help our residents at the same time. But I think those are the things that I'm wrestling with right now. So if there is any kind of clarification around those particular things, salary versus money that would go into your fund to help additional people. I do want to call out, I heard you say in the past, do we ask other nonprofits how they spend our money when we donate, right? So I have a thank you note here from Always Home. We give $2,000 to Always Home. We have for a couple of years now. And although we get, as Bob has said in past meetings, we get reports. We give a considerable amount to the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center. We get detailed reports on how that money is spent and data on the number of North Stonington residents that they help and things like that. So I think those are my comments right now. That's kind of where I am wrestling and having a hard time moving past that to kind of come to a decision that is going to make both sides happy, because this is a really difficult place to be in. Because for as many people as that are here tonight and as many people that have sent us emails, we have had almost the same amount advocating for us to think very seriously and long and hard in how much and if we fund the Giving Closet moving forward. And those people, for obvious reasons, don't necessarily want us to broadcast that, because that's a difficult message to pass on. It's difficult. And unfortunately, Bob, Brett, and I are the ones that are up here trying to make the best decision moving forward and not come off looking like we could care less that people in our town are suffering, because that is absolutely not the case. So I don't know how we want to do it. If Brett, you want to give any comments, and then certainly we want you and anybody that is willing to come on up and help us make this decision.
Yeah, I can just comment a little bit on it. You guys expressed pretty much the same feelings that I have on most of it. And I'll reiterate, I was a little concerned with some of the posting, how it played out between the insurance and then salaries. It just, I felt like it was pitting the town, some of the town against the boards, and saying that if we don't get this from the board, then we're shutting down. And then we were throwing out insurance issues about insurance, and that was what money was needed for. So I think it caused more confusion than it helped. I was in a different place coming into some of that. And then, like you said, we got emails, phone calls, text messages from people on both sides of it. And I think over the course of this whole process, we've had a lot of people in favor, a lot of people against. Like I mentioned at the last meeting, one of the people that volunteers wrote a letter against donating just until it was figured out how the whole program would run and who would do that. And how that process would continue if you left, Sarah. No, it was someone that volunteers at the OC. Okay. Well, it was somebody that, yeah, it was somebody that volunteered. You can FOI it from Bob, and I'm sure he can get it to you. Yeah. I'm just, like I said, I'm just telling you the letters that we've received. We have gotten a lot of letters in support, a good chunk. I don't think so, but you can dive into it and get that information. And then we got a lot of letters for it. Some were from out of town residents, which also gives me pause in some of this, the funding, because we've been told that we won't exclude other residents from other towns, yet we won't go to those towns for funding. So that's the difference between some of the organizations that Bob mentioned too, that we do fund and we don't fund to this level, is they're going to other towns that they're servicing and getting funds from them too. So those are some of the aspects that I'm looking at when I dive into this. Is it exclusive North Stonington? Is just the funding, but not the service area. So that's a concern. Bob, I'm glad we found out about the insurance. So we know that the town is in the chain of liability, ultimately, from people coming in, shopping there. but the insurance would help that cause, like we do for other events that we hold here. And then just one comment is as you go through this, it was suggested by others that maybe you start charging for certain items that would help fund you for people that aren't in need. I can tell you a story direct that I was at an event it was a charity event, but it was a high ticket charity event. And somebody had a new sport coat on from there. And everyone was saying, wow, that's a beautiful sport coat. He goes, yeah, I got it at the giving closet. Now, this person isn't in need of services. They're not in need of donations, yet they're coming in. And I understand that that's an open, but that might be something you want to say, hey, if you're not in need, we charge $5 for this item. And that might help fund some of these other things that you're looking for. It's just a suggestion, but
We do have a donation bin, and
Yeah.
people that come to just help us with clothing, they do donate into that.
Okay,
donation bin,
that's-
and then the volunteers go shopping and buy the clothing.
perfect.
There
Great.
is no rule for that, but yes, if it's on a donation base, because otherwise I have to change the whole 501c3 rules if we start accepting money for profit.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but yes, hopefully that person needs a donation. If not, they come out of the landfill is the way it happens.
But we don't have any landfills in the Northeast, but I understand your point. If you want to come up and I know respond to some of Nicole's questions that are kind of all our questions, take your time. And like I said during the other meetings, I know this is tough for you. It's tough for us. It's tough for the people.
Sarah, despite how it feels, you are among friends. We are your friends. We are your neighbors. We are supportive. We want to make the best decision that we can for everybody.
I know. Thank you again for having me up here. I did not anticipate talking today, but I will definitely answer your questions to the best of my ability. I want to start by saying thank you to you because you let us know that we needed insurance. And that is the big reason I did not want to take from townspeople is because in order for us to continue on an insurance, it needs to get into a line item into the budget to know that that $3,000 is going to be spent on our insurance. The townspeople are fantastic. I'm sorry if there was any post I made that made you feel less than the performance that you've been giving to the town. I merely said I would like to hold off to see what the board is offering us, because obviously those thousands of dollars have to be allocated to our insurance. I'm just gonna start at
Can I
the,
just correct you for 1 second? I texted you and said there will never be a line item just for your insurance in the budget.
I understand that. I was not in a very, very good place when you were texting me.
Hmm.
Like, I'm just ready to be done and move on and continue doing what I do best, is helping people. As
So
far-
just to fill, so there's a line item that says the giving closet, and that's all that it will say, the giving closet. So
I
then you-
understand that.
So, but you will then take the funding, if there's any funding, and determine how you're going to spend the funding and then report back to us on how it was spent. That's all. So I can't put a separate line that says the giving closet insurance and guarantee every year that's going to be filled. I can't do that.
I understand that it would be in a whole now as a line item, but as a part of our ask, this money is going to come from our ask. If the townspeople still want to help us and the businesses, which they all do throughout our Christmas season, that's wonderful. I did tell you it's the busiest time of the year, the most expensive time of the year. So if they are willing to help us, I would like to keep those funds for the people of North Stonington, not for the ability to run the giving closet as a 501c3, which was asked by you three for us to go ahead and get. Otherwise, we would have just kept the same. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from, that it was kind of like a cat chasing its tail. All these things that had opened our eyes, all of our eyes throughout this entire process. I don't know that the town would have got it up to $3,000. And if they do, that's great. If we get no funds from you, then of course we will ask our townspeople to help us, because we know the importance of the giving closet. I'm just going to start at the top to try to remember what I can. Please keep in mind, I did not think I was speaking at all today. So the first time you had asked me to come to a meeting, when I had spoke with you back in December, you had told me go high because they're going to tell you to come low. I went high And then I went as low as I thought I could. As far as the 19.5, you again also told me, keep it under the 20 grand. You did not tell me that it looks silly if you say 19.5. That would have been a wise thing for you to tell me as my leader in our town. I trusted and I depended on you a lot for this entire process. The first time I was told that I was going to be asked to speak, I was told that it was going to be about 10 to 15 minutes. Second time, same thing. An hour and a half later for 3 presentations is a lot on somebody who simply came in to ask for some monetary support for your residents, not for just me. A 19.5 was the intention was never to give that to me as my compensation, never, ever, ever. Now, the money will be used, the 3,000 for the insurance. I would also like to get a lawyer to make sure that I'm doing everything right, because I do not have anybody to offer me support on the back end, who is a lawyer. The money will also be used to go into a fund where my board and I can decide when we are low on certain hot top items that are in our store, and then purchase as needed. There will be a small compensation for me. I do not know what that is going to be, because the board and I will speak of that when we find out if we are going to get any money. Also keeping in mind that 33% of that money that would be my small stipend would have to go back for taxes, because I'm a citizen. I would have to pay taxes on any income that comes into my household. As far as pitting 501(c)(3)s against each other, I definitely didn't do that. I did not understand why a brand new 501(c)(3) was able to get funding a couple weeks into them turning into one. And that was all I was asking, is why can they get funding and why are we not able to get any funding? And so that's that. That's where that is. I don't feel that I misrepresented you all. I think it's known that you give us the hallway as well as with the food pantry. I have told you how grateful we are for the past 6 years for that. And if it were ever a problem, I would have hoped that any of you would have come and said something, because we would have figured out a way, or we would have found another place if that were the case. If it is a problem with the townspeople, I understand that you as a board have to do what you have to do. I also, the giving closet was started by, there was a YouTube video of a lady who had a giving closet in a different state. The Give Back Club thought, Ms. Shilkey thought it would be a great thing for North Stoning to carry that for the middle high school students only. So the Give Back Club got together, they got some clothes together, they got 2 racks together. It had nothing to do with the lost and found. It was only sizes for men and women, for high school age kids. It was 2 little racks in the athletic room. And I asked Ms. Shilkey, after people had come to me asking me about the giving closet, if I could grow the giving closet. And she said, take it and have at it. So in that sense, it's still, all the Give Back Club kids were still in there. The teachers, the schools, the town. Now it is, people from out of town can come. I've given you our numbers. I've told you everything that you have asked of me before this on the percentage of North Stonington residents versus other residents. My board and I are, now that we are a 501(c)(3), are going to hone in on a lot of things, and that is going to be one of them. It is not going to be a free willy place. I already mentioned about the donations that people give if they do come and shop. And yes, it is a giving closet, but it also is at the end of seasons, we need to get our stuff out of there. We don't have 5 rooms that we can store it. So anybody can come and take whatever we have left over to move, because we can only store so much. So we take the best of the stuff and we store that. As far as funds going to people outside of North Stonington, there was one family that we helped probably 5 years ago that was outside of North Stonington, and they were funds from North Stonington, from Stonington. Other than that, it has been all North Stonington residents, or residents that were brought into North Stonington are now a North Stonington resident. I guess I don't understand how I misrepresented you guys on social media, because I would feel terrible if you could just let me know, but both you and you had said that. That is not.
I don't think we said that you did. I think we said that we heard comments that we do nothing for the giving closet.
Oh, I didn't see those
No,
comments. I'm sorry.
Well, you
I've
don't-
been
you don't-
disconnected from a lot of this.
Well, some of it's through emails and letters, and as Brett said, you can do an FOI in town. We can give you anything that came to us, that came through us through like an email, electronic email. I can give you copies. But when we get an email that said, please help, what's the town doing? We can't turn our back on the giving closet. I'm just saying that we don't turn our back because we've done some good things for the giving closet. That's all.
Yes, you've given us the space and I commend you. And in turn, we've done some fantastic things with all of your
And I
residents.
think I agree with
So,
you. I'm not
um,
disagreeing with you, Sarah. So.
No, well,
And-
I'm
and
sorry
you're not- and you're not
if
here
we were
to-
misrepresented
And we're
by,
not here to ask you a bunch of questions, because I know you said you weren't planning, but you
I
heard
was
what we
not.
said, and you're actually just answering to what we say.
I am doing that,
Okay.
yes. What, did I answer all the questions? I
I-
don't even know what I
I
have
think
left.
that-
I'm sorry. I'm sure you
No.
have an answer for everything and all the materials I've
No, no,
given you
no.
guys.
So I think that you have. I think what I heard is that no matter what we are able to give, it's going to go into your savings account. And that you and your board would decide together what that stipend would be for you in to run the entire thing. And I think what I'm also hearing you say now is that, again, no matter so what I hear is that you have to, at the very least, we have to be able to cover the cost of your insurance, right?
We can do nothing
Yep,
until that is
Yep,
done.
no,
So
completely understand. And you're doing the right thing. As hard as that decision was probably to make, to close temporarily, to protect your family and your own lifestyle, I think that that was necessary when we discovered this. But I think what I'm hearing is that you would make it work somehow with whatever we are able to give this year. And Bob's right, in the next year, and believe me, budget season comes around all too quickly. Take a deep breath, because you'll be back up in front of the podium again, pitching next, FY 27's budget. But what I hear you saying is that you believe with whatever money we are able to dedicate now, off cycle, that you would be able to make it work, pay your insurance, and be able to continue to some degree with the hours that you are currently open for the town and the people. Is that what I'm hearing? Because I wanted you very much to correct what my perception was in the past, that it didn't matter if it wasn't the 19.5, that you really didn't anticipate being able to stay open or increase services if you got less than that. And I think what I'm hearing you say is that that is not true now.
No, that is not the case. Like I had mentioned earlier, we as a board are going to be revamping the services that we give. These community asks are not going to happen anymore. We finished with our last private family that became residents of North Stonington. I'm not going to be doing that service anymore because you guys are going to be having a human services person, or whatever you all
Social
decide, social
services.
services, for a paid position for somebody. And as Carol had said in her presentation, the paperwork or the online paperwork that goes along with this is so time constraining
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
that I can no longer do that. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that North Stonington can find the right person to do that.
Same.
Also, as Carol had said, making those relationships with the different connections that are around outside of the ones that you hear of all the time. Like the good ones, like Safe Futures and Always Home, those that we do give funds to. There are so many more smaller ones that also have helped me with our citizens in the background. So yes, we are going to scale back because we have to. We are going to hone in on more the towns that we will be supporting. So this is kind of, we are in a good place that we are closed right now because now we can reopen and change things. And we plan to do that. What they are, I don't know at the moment because we haven't really discussed it until we know what we're working with.
Sarah, I wanted to tell you that when I was at the Always Home reception, I talked with Tricia for a little bit. She is absolutely willing to sit down with you and
Yes.
have discussions about what, because you have gone from 0 to 110 miles an hour with the scope that has happened with the Giving Closet, because we understand that there's a need, and you trying to keep up while having your own job and your own family
Yep.
and everybody that's donating. It grew so quickly.
Yep.
And so big, but she absolutely is willing, from somebody who has been the director of a nonprofit that is in this business, and has paid employees, right? So it's
Yep.
honestly completely up to you how big
She has
you let
reached
this
out.
get. So good, because I'm
Yep.
glad, because we talked for like 5 minutes, but she's like, I absolutely
No,
am
she's
willing to work.
amazing.
She
Yes.
is. Okay. I wanted to make
So
sure that you knew
I
that.
can only grow this as big money as the money will allow, right? Because time is money and my time is extremely precious. And I have given so much. So now we as a Giving Closet and a board are only going to give what we can give. So we will all decide that together. We will discuss that together. And then I will see Trish and see, but I think as far as becoming a social services and what the Giving Closet has been doing, we are scaling way back. We're seeing it and we're feeling it. The negativity from some people, the positivity from other people. It is what it is. We can't all think the same, and that's what makes the world go round. So I hope that you can take a leap of faith with us. I've said this before in prior meetings. Somebody had to take a leap of faith in the PNC. Somebody had to take a leap of faith with Always Home. And you have to remember that these are like 20, 25 year plus organizations that have grown and grown and grown because they get the support from the towns. You have mentioned many times, Brett, to me if I were going outside and asking other towns. I am not. And do their residents come? Yes, but their residents are so minuscule in the amount of residents from North Stonington that come that I would feel almost unfair going to some other towns. There are a couple that could rank up there with ours. And these are towns that do have their own social services department. Some of them are not, some of them do not. And I will not turn those towns away, even if it's not I'm sorry, even if it's not a town that is known. So say a social worker from Preston reaches out to us and needs something, and Preston is not in our wheelhouse of towns that we have chosen to support. We are not going to turn her away, if that makes sense to you.
I think for me, I think that you have answered all of my questions very well. I'm okay. I don't want you to have to stand up there and continue to go through this. I'm all set. as far as my
I just have one
questions.
last thing. If my delivery in any of my presentations came across as some of the adjectives that were spoken at the beginning of this meeting, I apologize because that was never my intention.
Sarah, you have passion, and that comes through sometimes in all different forms of emotions.
And
It's passion.
I
We
have never
understand.
spoken, and you guys had me up here for an hour and a half. Board of Finance had me up for an hour and a half. Last, 3 weeks ago, again, another hour and a half. Like, I just, that's so much on one individual. It is good practice. I'm getting there, but yeah, so I just, you can't go wrong funding the Giving Closet. Like, I just feel like you just can't go wrong. And I'm sorry I never returned your text. I was done like you two, sleeping, eating.
We get it.
It's understandable. It's difficult. Nobody loves to be up here. I see Amy in the back. She's been through a lot of grillings with the library.
Oh, boy.
It's,
I
she's
know.
free, and it's tough. And, you know, I think as a board, what we try to do is, you might not like everything we say, and that's one thing that I've always tried to pride myself in too, is you might not like what I say, but you'll know where I'm coming from. And what I'm telling to you is what I tell to the person in that room over there. I'm straightforward. So sometimes this comes across tough, but it's really just to have that dialogue. And I do it with everybody. And there are a lot of people that can say that, that have been up in front of us, that you'll always know where I'm coming from when I'm asking these questions. And it's really to get to the answer so we can solve this as a community. The one question I have that I think you stated, but in the beginning, multiple meetings ago, you said that if you didn't get enough to financially support yourself or help you with this, then you wouldn't do it anymore. And I think that brought up some concern with some residents saying, okay, well, if we give it now and then you don't get it, then what happens? So if you can just touch base. So you and your board now have said, whatever money you get, you guys will decide how that's spent, what lines it goes to, those kind of things.
It will probably still cause the same negativity that you are hearing now, that we don't have open hours on a certain day. We don't have this and that. And you're looking for a leader for a social services department. We need a leader for the giving closet, just like any other business that is run in town. While we are a not-for-profit business, we essentially still are a business because we are helping others. So I don't have a clear-cut answer for you. I do know that we will be open, yes. The magnitude of how we operate will be far less. I do know that. But we will still help where we can and point those that need further help to where they need to go.
Thank you.
So-
And thanks for all you've done over the years. I think
Thank
we
you.
all really appreciate it. No matter how this all turns out, it doesn't go unnoticed. Negativity, put it to the side. You've done a lot for the community and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Sarah, at the end of the day, with everything going on in the country, right? People, the three of us do not always agree. But the one thing that we've been able to do over the course of almost the last 4 years, just shy of 4 years, is at the end of the night or at the end of the week, we are friends and we are neighbors. You need to understand that when you step down and I see you walking in and we are still who we say we are, okay?
Yes,
Tough discussions, but at the end of the day, we are friends and neighbors first.
thank you. I'll just know that I'm not doing this for selfish reasons. Like I could throw my hands up and enjoy my night at the bar or at home or at the baseball game. I'm doing this to help those who truly need it. And I just hope that you and the rest of the residents can really understand that.
100%.
So thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you.
So
I guess we can say at this point, is there anyone that thinks they can add something that we haven't heard? Something we haven't heard, something new, fresh that we haven't, I don't want to rehash things over and over. We know that most people here are probably in favor. There's some people that maybe aren't. And I don't mind, we can listen to anyone, but as long as it's something that we're not going to just beat a dead horse. So if you got something new that we don't know, enlighten us. But if you just want to speak, the podium's yours for the next few minutes anyway. Carol? You gotta go up there if you do.
unfortunately, you have to come up to the microphone because we do have people online.
Thanks. What Sarah does is a social service. And she's been doing it. We actually gave her an award a few years ago at Rotary, different shirt, but you know, as a leader in our community who has selflessly, you know, helped people in need. So it should be part of social services. And I'm not saying literally, but it is part of who we are as a town, you know, and who we are as a town is people helping people. And there are people that are more fortunate than us and people who are less fortunate than us. And I think in my opinion, and I'm sorry if this goes against what you think. I think the town should fund a salary line. And at least, because whether it's, Teresa or, or any of the other agencies or the PNC, you don't fund a salary line for the PNC, but, when I was doing social services here, it was a salary line, so.
You do understand that would make you a town employee if we funded a salary line. We don't fund any salary lines on anyone who's not a town employee.
Okay.
I will say from the bottom of my heart, you are doing a freaking fantastic job. The Giving Closet, this is not what I have to say. It's not personal. It's not in any way, shape, or form to you or your board. I just have some concerns, as others do, that are not here. I just will say it. Other people.
Amy, you
will not.
got to speak into the mic a little bit more.
Sorry.
Thanks.
I just have concerns that a comment, and I'm a terrible public speaker. I feel for you because I hate it. A comment was made with the 19.5, we're going to buy toiletries. I have a problem that as taxpayers, if I can't afford my toiletries, that's not up to you as taxpayers. I need to go to the social services. That's what our social service department should be for. No, I get that. But we can go to the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center. I'm just saying how I feel. Saying how I feel. It's just how I feel. As far as an attorney, I have a problem putting money towards an attorney. It's just something that I feel. As a 501c for the insurance fundraise. You as a board, if she's saying, this is a question to you, if she's saying that there's no funding, has anyone come to you and said, we will volunteer and do this, take this over? If she doesn't do this and she says it's closing, is there someone else that wants to volunteer? Has someone come to you and said, we'll volunteer to do it?
No one has done that.
I understand that. I'm just asking them. These are questions that I'm just having.
But that's the only reason we're doing what we're doing now, as far as the insurance, as far as needing a lawyer, like this is all literally brand new, brand new.
No one has come to us and said, if the Giving Closet closes and it's not funded, we will do it as a volunteer. No one said that.
What about a life skills program for the school system to do? Could that be like a life skills program through the school? That's where, like, if the kids started it before.
That's what we've been doing with them, but we can no longer do it with them because now we need insurance because we're our own title. And again, that was taking 6 hours of my time. I volunteered each week for these different life skills classes from all over.
Okay, that's just how I feel. Sorry.
That's okay.
And I'm not the only one. I'm just the one who will be here to voice my concern.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak before I motion to the rest of the board of what we want to do as our next step? Anybody else? I know most of you are here in favor of the Giving Closet, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you showing support for Sarah and all that she does. I'm going to make a motion. At this point, I think that we should give some funding to the Giving Closet for all the reasons I stated, both the positive and the negative, and mostly the positive about I can't turn my back on those people in town that are residents that we don't know about. We know they're there. We know that not everyone has the wonderful existence that we might be. I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I don't worry about what should I'm going to wear to this meeting. I don't worry about having a roof over my head, but some people do. And I think that we need to, as town leaders, to protect all our residents. I don't expect anyone to walk into my office and say, Mr. First Selectman, I need this. I expect them to go to a social service department. We eventually have one, to Sarah, to Mrs. Costanza, because it's private and nobody wants to come to town hall. Even when we used to have the Pawcatuck neighborhood in town hall one day a week, nobody came. because they didn't want to be seen talking to the Park Rec neighborhood in our town hall. So with that said, I think there should be some funding. I'm going to call it a gap funding at this point, funding to cover some expenses for the giving closet between now and July 1st, and then the budget will handle itself at that point. And we'll also by that time have a social services department, hopefully, so we'll know how much the town has to budget for that. I would like to motion that I would like to give $10,000 to the giving closet as funding from now until July 1st, and that then next in July 1st, the budget will take care of itself, whatever that may be. I entertain a second, and then we can discuss. Hearing no second, then I would entertain another motion.
I'll make a motion that we donate, or we put in a line item or donation for $5,000.
So can I just, point of clarification, this is not a line item. Are we asking, we're going to be doing appropriation
This is gonna be
from general
appropriation.
fund?
The giving closet has a line item in the budget, even though it wasn't funded last year. It is in the budget to be funded next year if the town chooses to do so. This is an appropriation. We have to go from
Okay.
here. If we said, yes, we all approve an amount, we don't then give that money to the giving closet. We have to go to the Board of Finance, who has to do an appropriation, because this is non-budgeted money. So it's, we go to the Board of
So
Finance.
just to
and-
clarify, under the 20, we still have to go to the Board of Finance.
You go to the Board of Finance for any appropriation. It's when you get to
Okay.
20, you go to the town meeting.
Okay. Okay.
So I make a motion that we do an additional appropriation of $5,000 to the giving closet. From now to help gap till July 1st. As you go through the budget.
I'll second only for discussion. I'll second the motion, so now we can have discussion. I don't think 5,000 is the right number. My own personal opinion, I think it's too low. I think the first 3,000 is going to come out of that, leaves them with 2. I think that I guess I would think about in terms of this, there's $4 million in the undesignated fund. And because we know that the Board of Finance just tasked us with using some of that money to pay down debt. $4 million in the undesignated fund and asking for 10,000 is almost like me having $100 bill in my pocket and you ask me for a quarter. It's a small pot of money, and when you compare it to what good it does. And the people that are receiving the goodwill by going to the giving closet, you can't put a dollar value on that. We have to, because we're giving taxpayer money to an organization. I understand that, but those people that are getting positive results from going to a place like the giving closet, to them, there's no dollar value. It's life-saving in some cases. And I know $10,000 in the course of the day, and we sometimes argue over $500 in the budget. $10,000 is a lot of money, but $10,000 to a $24 million budget with $4 million in the undesignated fund, I don't think is a lot of money. And I think that's the way I would argue it with the Board of Finance if it went that far. But I just think that the $5,000 is so tight to, after they pay their bills, they're back to ground zero again.
So
And they can't ask for money again until the budget.
I
season.
disagree with your statement a little bit in regards to, there already has been a push for donations. Lots of people reached out to donate. So I think that could help contribute to the insurance money. So I think 5,000, if it doesn't, it makes up for some of that. But when, in regards to your statement that we have 4 million in there, this is 10, what's the difference? We do argue over $500 come budget time in a line item that we take from somewhere else to move here,
We do.
or vice versa. So just because it's now compared to budget time, yes, that I will say, okay, $10,000 in that realm is different. But when we look at all the dollars and cents that we look at, when we sign these stack of checks and we're going to town hall to sign a check for $100 and making sure it follows all the process, I disagree about your 10,000. And I would also say that I'm thinking about it in terms of the Board of Finance. Knowing the Board of Finance pretty well, what would likely pass the Board of Finance? I do not think, and I could be dead wrong, that $10,000 would pass the Board of Finance by any means. knowing the comments that have been made. So if we really are looking for something to move and really help and make a difference right away, I think we start here. You can come back for an additional based on the Board of Finance's talk, but I even think that's going to be a stretch to get that through. But I don't think 10,000 will go through the Board of Finance, and that's just my take on it. One more comment I just like to make. Now, I won't be here at your next budget cycle, but one thing to make things cleaner when you go through that process, I think we need to, as a town, come up with a rental agreement for that space and charge accordingly, like we charge the other entity that we rent space to. Now, to make up for that, I would add that money back into the line item for them. So it'll be a wash, but I think to be cleaner and to have some kind of agreement in place, I think that's the best way to do it. And also what it does is it sets all our 501c3s at the same place. They ask us for a dollar value. If a resident comes in and looks at the budget, okay, this is how much I'm giving to this entity. They shouldn't have to look at that we give them space that would cost $1,500 a month or whatever it might be for that space or retail space. I think we should put that in there. So that might be one thing you want to do just to be clean and make sure we're on par. And then the last thing is we are setting precedent by doing it this way. So don't be shocked if you, just like with the traffic, you put the traffic
Wait,
study
that's
out.
taken off
Now
already.
everybody wants traffic.
That's Linda Coates' fault.
Cameras on their streets. So I think once you do this, we know there's a lot of other 501c3s in North Stonington that help North Stonington residents that will be coming forward. They will. We're setting a precedent. So as we go through this cycle, I think we have to be careful on how we do this and give that money.
I understand. I will just say this, that when I rewatched the April 21st meeting on the budget season, the budget hearing, it's called the town budget hearing, April 21st, 2025. Two town leaders said very distinctly, we can't give you the money now. It's because you're not a 501c3. However, become a 501c3, come back to the Board of Selectmen, come back to the Board of Finance. It's as easy as that. Another person said, listen, don't take this personal. We can't do it because we don't want to set a precedent of giving a non-501c3 any funds. However, you become a 501c3, we'd be more than willing to work with you. Just come back.
And I said that one. I said we'll work.
I didn't identify the.
But I can identify myself and I'll work with you. And I said it at the meeting and I'm saying it now. And that's why I made the motion to work with them. I'm not saying zero, and I don't think it's not a good cause, but I think we have to start somewhere, and that's where I was comfortable starting.
So I have a quick question. So if your recommendation to create some type of a rental agreement, would that include the food pantry as well? Is it lumped into one?
So the food pantry.
They're two separate.
Food pantry is different, and they are a subsidy of the school still. They are the school's food pantry. Very different.
And
Very
actually, the
different.
school does pay for space.
Say that again?
The school does pay for space.
Yes, okay. All right.
They do. They do. They pay for space for the, it's not very much, but they do pay.
I'm not part of the school anymore because I was asked to break away from all of that. I wish I had never done that.
But then we wouldn't be able to fund you at all, just so you know. Yeah.
I would just suggest maybe finding a different way to go about doing all of this. This has just been extremely and very, very unfair, but that's my opinion. And I took it upon myself because I came from it.
I think it feels unfair now, Sarah, because you've gone through it. But I think if we had this conversation 3 years from now, you're going to say, thank God I got that 501c3, because it opened so many doors for you that weren't open before you had it.
But I need somebody to have a leap of faith in the giving closet.
Well,
And that is where you three.
Well, that's what we're working on right now. We're just seeing how big that leap is. So, Nicole?
So when I was preparing to come tonight, I didn't really know where it was going to land and where I was going to end up landing. And I think, so thank you, Sarah, because I think that you clarified some of the things that I was having a hard time processing and wrestling with. I don't disagree with you, Brett. I do think that we are setting a precedent. I think that we'll have to deal with that when and if the time comes. I will try and play middleman and see if 8,000 is something that the three of us are comfortable with.
What was the number?
8.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. So if you're gonna, either Brett would have to retract his motion, we can vote on that motion. And then if that does not pass, we can go to a new motion. So,
I'll make a motion
no, hold
to,
on, there's already a motion on the floor.
oh, you have to, well,
So we can vote on that motion, and then if that doesn't pass, you can have a new motion. Unless Brett wants to retract that motion. I think he doesn't, correct?
I mean, I'll retract it, but I won't be voting. I don't think I'll be voting for 8,000.
Okay, so do you want to vote on the 5 first, or you want to
I will retract my motion.
retract it? Okay.
all right.
So
So I'll make a
entertain- go ahead.
motion to go to the Board of Finance for an appropriation from the undesignated fund for $8,000 for gap funding for the giving closet.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion?
I'll just reiterate my other statement. I don't think that will pass the Board of Finance.
Well, Nicole said she's going to go, so she's can probably sell it better than I can.
Listen, whether I'm on the couch listening or whether I'm in front of them listening, we're always there.
Okay, I understand where you tried to split the middle. I still think it's a little bit low, but I also respect Brett's decision, and I understand what the precedent set. But I think in this particular case, it's going to be up to me to sell it to the Board of Finance. I don't want to put poor Sarah back on the stand. It was almost like an inquisition rather, when the last time you were here, and I apologize for that. But I think I will go to the Board of Finance and argue that. And it may pass, it may not, but I'll do my best to argue, probably very similar to the way I argued it tonight. But with that said, all those in favor of an $8,000 an appropriation request to the Board of Finance for the giving closet, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so 2-1, it passes. And I will get a hold of the Board of Finance chairman to see when I might be able to put that on. I'm guessing that they have a meeting, I think on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So I can probably put it on that meeting, the 15th. We don't have another meeting until the 21st. Okay, so that's where we are. So I'm going to go to the Board of Finance and ask for an appropriation for $8,000. We'll see what the Board of Finance says at that point. Okay. Okay, moving on. You don't have to stay for the rest of this if you guys don't want, by the way. I'm looking at my agenda. It doesn't seem very
We don't
exciting.
even want to stay for the rest of the agenda.
Reactivate the tax relief committee discussion. So we remember that we had a tax relief committee that was headed
Bob,
up.
I'm sorry, just, so that's number 10.
I'm sorry, 5-year
gen-
capital
the
plan.
5-year
Sorry, I
capital.
don't want to skip that. Sorry, thank you, Nicole. So on the 5-year capital plan, I sent you the 5-year capital plan, what it looks like with the full plan and what it looks like when we took the $700,000 out of debt, which is the difference between where you see all those things are paid for, especially the first 4 lines, 61, 83, 83, and 50. Subtracted the 50 across the board. I think I gave you one with all the highlighted things we're going to take out prior. And then you can see what the new bottom line is. Since then, I did send you the school capital plan, which will be added to the 5-year capital plan. I don't think we have to discuss this in a big way. This is our first glance at it. We're going to be doing this again on the 21st. I did ask Alan if he could help me better understand the school capital plan on some of the equipment that's there, some of the equipment they're asking for, and then see how, I think having the town having an extra set of eyes on some of this equipment makes sense to me. I did have a discussion with the superintendent about his first ask, which is the $800,000 track.
I think that was third on the list now.
Moved up to number one,
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
They moved stuff around at their meeting.
reprioritized. So the first is the Kubota plow tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they uploaded those meetings today, if I'm not mistaken.
What's
I know-
that?
I think they might have uploaded those meetings today on
The audio was on for a while. It's been on for
Okay.
a few weeks.
I
But
think-
yeah, they changed. So if you look at this page here where it says capital plan request,
Yep.
it tells you what 1, 2, and 3 are. So it's now the loader, the floor scrubber, and then the track.
$800,000 track.
So I just, to start the conversation, I remember this coming up the first time when we talked about the capital plan, the tractor, and it's really not a tractor, it's a loader, very different in regards to what the capabilities are, how many different things you can utilize with it. I will say that I'm a little disappointed in the Board of Ed discussion on this. So if you watch that meeting, they talked about it for about 5 minutes before they sent us almost $1 million worth of requests. I will say, and I said it the first time they put, it was a slightly larger tractor on it. I think the first time it was about a 90 horse tractor. The way it's worded here that they want the loader to do sidewalks, pathways, playgrounds, just for plowing, seems a little far-fetched to utilize this. They have a snow blower that they went out and purchased retail a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, to do the sidewalks. There's other tools. And now that the town is helping with overseeing the building maintenance, we already do the plowing over there. If we were to utilize something that the whole town could use and utilize it for sidewalks, things like that, I guess I could see that more. But I don't see a loader being something that solves the problems of field maintenance or all the other things that a tractor could be utilized for if they need that. They have the Kubota. And then I will say that it says the estimated value item at resale used for parts. I don't know if you ask on social media, as we talked about last time, you get a lot of answers, but I bet there's a lot of Kubotas older than this in our town utilized that still have quite a value left to them, that we wouldn't be saying we're going to use it for parts. That part, some of the answers to these questions struck me a little much. And I'd love to hear Alan's take on it. And, you know, I do think we have to be careful because we're not pitting any group against each other. So I think we should be mindful in that. And it does put Alan in a tough spot sometimes, I think.
Yeah, we had that discussion today, actually.
But with my experience with equipment, I'm not a professional, but I've used them my whole life. My dad was an excavator. I've been around them my whole life. A compact loader for $72,000 to just do the sidewalks and the egress, it just doesn't make sense for me.
So I think there's going to be quite a bit of discussion on the Board of Ed capital. I think if you look at the other capital, especially once we do an appropriation for the 672,000, whatever it was, to take care of a lot of that debt. You see that the capital without that on it is actually very reasonable and right around where we want it to be, including basically a 2-year capital vacation, right? I already said to Alan, I said to the fire company, I said to Logan, just because we moved this debt, we're not moving any trucks up. Everything has to stay. Sometimes it hurts because now you got to fix a truck instead of when it's not its time to be replaced. But once they go through this, and I won't be here to see it, but once they go through like the 12 years on the capital for the highway department, now the oldest truck is 12 years old. Now you could take a 3-year holiday from capital and start on year 15 or 16, go back to the 12 years again. But it's while we're doing that, it's like, well, we thought this truck was worse than this, but now it turns out this one's worse. Well, I'm sorry. You know, you had your chance. We got, these are the trucks we got. You can't get another truck until not this budget. Next budget, you can get one. The budget after that, you can get two, because that's when they were planned. I think if we start deviating from these 1, 5, and 20-year budgets, when we get in trouble. And I think we have to stick with them to the best of our ability. If there's an emergency, there's emergency, but for
Right.
the most part.
But I
stick
think
with it.
they had it in their, the 5-year capital at
Who
one
did?
point. I think the Board of Ed did,
That what, and they could 5-year
the
capital.
tractor.
They might have, but they,
But I know we never really approved it that
so
way.
see, this was, I didn't get a chance to add these to this sheet,
Okay,
which I will. But when I sent this to you yesterday morning, I got this after that, actually. So you're seeing this with the old school capital, not the new school capital.
yeah, like I said, if I look through them and listening to the meeting, the only one that I see as is pertinent to what they need is the floor sweeper. It even, I mean, that's still $24,000, but you have to maintain the floors.
We only have two, and one of them is in his department. It's in pieces, and can't be fixed.
Yeah, and then
So-
the other one's
So we're
parked in the
down to just the
hallway.
one?
Oh.
We're down to just one,
We're
you're
down
saying?
to one right
For
now,
both
unless.
for both schools, and they don't utilize it over here, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I think that.
And the one that's working is a 2009? Is that what I'm reading? Okay.
But what's the one that's in the town garage? It's in pieces right now. One of them's in the town garage, right? Okay, so that might be something that sticks. I think we're gonna have to have quite a bit of discussion on the tractor slash loader. And we'll have to talk about the track. Troy did ask me, well, when can we apply for a steep grant? I said, well, you can't. You have to wait till steep grants become available. We never know when it's gonna, it doesn't mean we're gonna get one this year. It could be 2 years from now before there's another steep grant.
And
So-
part of that discussion, I think that they did have on the Board of Ed, which I do agree with, is maybe they have a list for what steep requests they might have, but that aren't technically a capital request. So
I agree.
like the
It's-
track, maybe that's one that you said, look, if we get a steep grant again, let's put in for the track. But to be a third need on a capital plan for the school system, it seems
So when it's a
Correct.
single line item that's higher than the capital plan itself.
right.
And so, yeah, I had that discussion with Troy, and I just said to him, it's basically on a list for a future steep grant makes sense to me. On capital, I don't see it lasting very long, but anyway, that's just for the tonight's discussion. We're just starting. I think we can ramp up this discussion as each meeting goes, and Brad, at the next meeting, whatever input you want to give on the 5-year before you leave, I'd be glad to take that.
Sure.
So, do we need to discuss this anymore this evening?
No, unless you needed to add anything.
No, he's just here for the grand finale.
Can I actually ask you a question on, while you're here, so I know going into the next meeting, what do we maintain for snow removal over there? We don't touch the sidewalks now or the play areas?
There you go.
So just the main parking lot. I think with a couple of big storms, I think that we did have the backhoe and the push box on the parking lot of the elementary.
Okay.
When we got deep snow, but other than that, no, we don't. I mean, if the gate was open, we're already there, we could do that.
Right,
That's
so
no
it's something
problem.
we could do,
Yeah,
especially that the new blacktop area and all that stuff.
Yep. The sidewalks, our backhoe is too big to
Yeah.
go on the sidewalks and the pickup's too big. I believe the sidewalks are about 6 foot. Everything we have is 9 foot wide.
We don't have a skid steer? on the
We
wheel?
do, we don't have a plow for it, just a bucket.
Okay. But in normal snow, unless it's usually they'd cancel school if it was more. A snow blower is somewhat better for sidewalks getting crisper to the ground than
Yeah,
pushing.
yeah, as long as it doesn't freeze, you're
Right.
good.
And there
Which I
was a new one purchased, as you said. Remember,
few years
it was either
ago, yeah.
last year, or the year before, 2 years ago, I think.
There's, and part of the thing is, I think they did fix the storage issue over there because that was one thing they'd have to lock them up on the sidewalk or something. And I think they fixed some of those issues. But
I think a discussion I had today with Alan too is that if we're gonna start purchasing equipment for the school, I think the town should be the one that was maintaining it, storing it. I don't want to see equipment that's being left out, things that aren't being, if they're not being maintenance on a regular basis, the life of it's going to get shortened, right? So I think one of the steps we're going to be taking is that the town has to, if we're taking a bigger role, that we also need a big role in taking ownership of these machines and maintaining them and taking care of them.
Yeah. And my point on the loader is if it is something that is needed, then maybe we look at what other uses we would use that for.
On the town side, correct?
On the town side, or even the school side, whether it's field maintenance, whether it's pulling a 3-point hitch on it with an aerator, I don't know,
Moving soccer.
that you
goals.
can't do with a loader.
Can I just ask, because the floor scrubber says to clean floors at the elementary school?
Because that's probably that particular one. There's another one in the 5-year plan that's in year 3, I think. For the
So
other
just, I'm sorry, because I wasn't necessarily following before. There's 2 on that side of the street, one in the elementary school, one in the middle high.
From what Randy has told me, there's one in each building right now. There used to be 2, I believe, in the high school. One for the first floor, one for the second floor, and one for the elementary, I believe.
But right
don't
now,
know
one
how
of those.
easy- I don't know how easy is it to move a floor scrubber from one
So you ride on
school
it.
to the other?
You ever been to BJ's where like the guys running around the little squeegee? That's what it is. It's a little 3-wheeled cart that's like half the size of the table, about the same width.
Yeah, it's parked outside the gym usually.
So is it so it's not able to be easily moved from the elementary school to the middle school?
You would drive it.
You can put it in the van, back of the van.
No, you just drive it across the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We have the broken one. I know the front wheel is your steering wheel and also where you drive it from, the one that drives you around. And it's also the motor that powers it. So like, I know the rubber had come off of one, which I'm sure is not great for the floor because now there's no cushion
Oh, yeah.
between. And then the wheel is the motor. It's all one big giant piece. I know it's very expensive just for the piece alone, let alone the other issues it had like batteries and stuff like that.
What do we have to decide tonight?
Nothing. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. This is your first look.
I
at the
do
5-year.
agree. I think, just knowing the track, the status of the track and what it looks like, I think that's a wonderful goal to aspire to have. I almost wonder if as we have, I think there has to be full commitment that this is what we want to do. But like we're doing for the bulky waste pile, do we put a certain amount aside each year to work towards a goal? Or does it just become completely shovel ready and the next steep opportunity we submit?
And they don't actually have to be shovel ready for the steep. They just have to be a rough
Yeah.
plan of it. And I think if that's something we work towards, and I agree, I think it'd be great for the town to have at some point. But I think we should engage our rec department and talk about how it's used as a community event and all that, because most towns you go to, they utilize it. Residents utilize it. The whole town
Well, and
utilizes.
is it a practice track or is it a meet track? Because
Well, it says,
4 lanes, you can't have meets. 6 lanes, you
well, in
can.
the email, it says we could probably host small track meets.
For the 6 lane, but you can't with 4.
Right.
And the other thing is it track and field or just track? Are we adding all the fields?
I think that's a later
And
discussion.
in 3
Yeah.
years from now, is the track team going to even exist? I mean, right now it's a fad sport because kids are doing, because all you have to do is run. There's no equipment really needed. You get to wear this nice cool sweatsuit around. It says you're on the track
And it's a
team.
great team. They've done really well.
have,
Actually, they've
But,
won.
but in a school with 200 kids and you still have, it's a spring sport. So
Yeah.
you have baseball, you have soccer, you have 2 lacrosse teams. There's only so many kids in the school. And what happens if we can't field the baseball team, we can't field the soccer
Right.
or softball team? Because now there's more
Because
kids
we're-
doing track.
yeah.
So I just think there's a lot of questions to be answered down the road and.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe the sports bowl will put it in a track and they can
Right.
use that.
And one last comment as you're going into this in next year, I think whatever we in the town decide, we should make sure they follow the same purchasing plan the town follows if we're putting it through our
Regarding
capital.
the quotes.
Regarding the number of quotes, bids.
No,
So if
agreed.
it was 580, that's bids, right? So I think even with that, because even when I look at the tractor, in my experience with our municipality is, this place never gives us the best rates out there. So,
Yep.
and by thousands and thousands of dollars difference usually.
Agreed. We had that discussion today too. So thank you.
Thanks.
Can we move on from that? Is that good for now? For first night talking about it? Is that great?
I'm great.
Perfect. Tax relief. So when the tax relief committee was formed 2 years ago, Lou Gendrell was nice enough to chair it. We had six members total. We're going to run a committee like that. We need a minimum of 5 members. We had 6, and they studied how to do additional tax relief for the elderly and for disabled. At the same time, they studied a tax relief program for first responders, volunteer first responders only, firemen and ambulance and police, but we don't have police. So Stonington, the town of Stonington just passed and at their last town meeting ordinance where they would have a plan, and it's in your packet, of how they would handle that. I'd like to have the tax relief committee, and plus when we bring this committee together, they have a 60-day life. So they have to report back after 60 days. So it's not tying up a group of people for a long period of time. I'd like to have your permission to reinstate the tax relief committee. I identify the original 6 members and see if they will still want to serve. If they did, I don't know if we have to reappoint them because we never, I'd have to talk to Antoinette, see if they have to be
Ever
reappointed.
disbanded.
And if anyone didn't want to serve, we might want to appoint somebody new because we have to have at least 5 members
Yeah,
on
I
it.
don't think we had an initial term on there. So yeah, I think we might be okay. But I would be in favor of that. So I'll make a motion to reactivate the tax relief committee.
Okay,
I'll second that.
great. So
So-
I'll any other discussion?
Just
Yeah.
that,
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I remember bringing this up years ago when I was on Board of Finance. And I'll just put it out there because things might have changed, but back then, when we brought it up, the fire chief stated that since we give a stipend, per call, we'd have to do one or the other. Hopefully that changed because seeing the other towns jumping on it recently, maybe they changed that rule, but I know that was pushed back from the fire company back then. If you do this, then you can't give it whatever dollar per call.
And I
So they
remember
do,
saying
that's
that
right.
also.
So they do currently get a stipend?
They get like $10 a call.
It's not
something.
much. So it
It doesn't
depends.
even
So
cover either.
So let's say they have a pot of, we'll say $200 and 20 guys show up for the fight, they each get $10.
Yeah.
If it's,
In
it's
my
kind of like
mind,
that.
depending on how this plays out, it would be more of a recruiting
Yeah.
tactic to know that you have a tax break
Mhm.
versus potentially getting $10.
And the tax break also though ties itself to the number of calls you make and so on. There's levels you have to hit to get
Oh,
certain tax
okay.
breaks. It's not, everyone doesn't get the same tax break.
Right, so if they're a member, but they never show up to a call.
Yeah,
they
they're
might
not gonna get-
okay.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm totally in favor of it. I think as a recruiting tool, it'll help, and we obviously
Yeah.
need
We
need recruiting tools to help. So I'm in favor of them looking
So
at it
next
again.
steps is you are going to reach out to the existing 6
Yeah,
members
started
and
with Lou Gendrell, who
confirm.
was the chair, see if they all want to be on it. If we have even 5 out of the 6 that want to come back, they can hold the meetings.
So should somebody from the firehouse be like an ad hoc member?
I don't think they did, but I think what they did was they asked the chief or somebody to come in from the firehouse to talk to
Speak
them.
Okay,
Yeah, but they weren't on the committee.
I just think all of that, what the information that you just gave is key to understanding what
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
should do.
Like I said,
moving
that could have
forward.
changed, but I'm sure they'll have to have those discussions with.
And
the
I
chief.
haven't read through the Stonington final. Yeah, I know it was approved, but that was like 75 to 4. It got approved or something like that.
Oh, great.
But I'll just, I'll read through that and I'll actually ask the committee themselves to investigate that. So, all right, so all in favor of reinstating the tax relief committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. The only thing I have in old business is we have 2 people we have to reappoint. They're both existing members of the Conservation Commission. Doug Ferrand and Steve Colgan, both longstanding members on the Conservation. Their terms are up this month.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Douglas Farren and Stephen Cogan.
I'll second that.
Great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll let Antoinette know. I don't know if they have to be re-sworn in or not, but,
I think if it's a new term, I think they do.
okay.
Just like we have to get sworn in. every
Okay.
time.
Did Gavin leave? Oh, I was gonna kick him out in a minute anyway. I was gonna say, look, I told
know,
him,
God
I told
bless
him
him.
it probably lasts to 8:30. We're pretty close.
I hope he doesn't have homework
I know.
to do
This
now.
probably was his homework. All right, so that's good. Not many people left, but is there any public comment on
What
anything? we s-
happened? What happened to the,
No, I just minimized it to
oh, okay.
to find
Who's
the
left? Oh, just Suzanne.
executive session.
We're close.
Not just Suzanne.
Any
Suzanne, I
public
hope you're
comment before
feeling
we do
better.
that? Any public comment? Okay, none. Next meeting is October 21st. I'll go to the Board of Finance on October 15th. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
Oh, I will make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive. I'll second, but we have to invite Alan.
Oh, that's
in the
right.
motion.
We have to invite Alan. I also want to invite Suzanne if there's a
Suzanne.
way to do it. Way to do it?
Maybe have a call.
Oh, yeah, I can put it, I'll do that. I'll call her.
I
Okay.
mean, there probably is a way to do it, but
Okay,
above my
so-
pay scale.
So why don't we, so we could shut off our microphones, correct?
Yes. Let me just share.
All those in favor of going to executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who's gonna handle our IT?
Okay, we're back. Okay, so we're out of the executive session. Sue, I'm gonna cut you off on my phone. We're out of executive session. The next
So
thing on the
now that
agenda-
we're out of executive session, I'll make a motion to increase the salary for the highway foreman in the amount of 10% retroactive back to July based on increased duties and increased responsibility in his job description.
I will second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I just want to mention why we did that. As of July 1st, our highway foreman has taken over the responsibility of maintenance of the school facilities. Well, the whole highway department has taken over responsibilities of the general facilities, maintenance of the school for any major, like a landlord-tenant relationship, which increased the amount of responsibility that the highway foreman has to do. So he took on $34 million worth of building, technically, with a $100,000 budget. And I think it's the right thing to do. And I will say, based also on the job that we've seen so far, we made the right decision in who we hired a year ago to do this role. And just the cost savings alone of what he's looking out for, the best interest of the town, and the best interest of our budget, really, where our money works the best. I've seen it firsthand, and I applaud him, and I value the work that that role is now doing for our town.
Here, here.
Okay, so I think we all can agree with your statement, Brett. Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion's approved, 3-0. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alan, for being here for executive session. Thank you for all that you do. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.